Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My long title is Reverend Dr. Craig Howard. My short title is Good Friend of Mary Lee. And we work together at Bethesda, and we adopted the term cut buddies.
He did, I didn't know what it meant.
I had to explain a lot of things to her. But I was just honored when she asked if I would give some opening remarks and not a sermon, and then have a prayer to blessing before Larry comes and gives the memorial to Grant. This morning I was at church where I led the Lord's Supper, and during that time I told the people, we partake of this bread and this wine, and as we partake, we experience again the life and renewed life of Christ in us. And that there's a connection between remembering and experiencing. We can remember and just sit back and just contemplate, but there's another remembering that happens when we actually do the things that the person we're thinking about used to do, or value the things that the person we're thinking about used to value. That's why for Grant's memory, we're asking you to complete these cards and for a memory card, because our job is to remember, to bring back Grant, and not to erase, but to continue to bring him back. I was at the airport recently, and there was this sign that said, recombobulation area. You see that sign? I always go, where's the discombobulation area? And recombobulation means putting it back together again, right? Remembering is putting it back together again. And that's why we're here, and that's why we're here to support the Gardner family. So if you would, pray with me. Gracious God, we are gathered here to remember Grant. Anytime there is a death of a loved one, we are filled with sorrow and fear. We are reminded how fragile life really is. But when the loss is the death of a child, the burden seems extra heavy. It is out of order. We feel we should die before our children. Our minds are baffled, our spirits weighed down with grief. It doesn't make sense. Even though we know your ways are not our ways, oh God, sometimes life doesn't seem fair. So, we gather here to comfort and lift up Mary Lee, Larry, and Warren. We are their friends, their families. We have a special responsibility to share in the memories and remembering of Grant. Our presence is a reminder to this family that we are here for them. We are not here to help them to forget, but to rejoice in the remembering. It is a remembering that will go on for a lifetime. Loving and merciful God, wrap Mary Lee, Larry, and Warren in your arms of love. Be with them as they carry this difficult burden. Help them to bear this sorrow without bitterness. Remind them that they are loved and blessed, and that they are not alone. And now we say together the prayer that you taught us through your Son in the way that we remember it. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
Amen. Amen.
Okay. I don't usually speak from notes, but I've got some things that I want to make sure to say. I usually speak from notes, but I've got some things that I want to make sure to say. And chances are I might get a little emotional, so please bear with me while I read. First, some acknowledgements. A big thank you to Julie Newcomer and Mary Jo Reed, who did all the heavy lifting to put this event together. Thank you so much. Next, Mary's sister Lori, who spent an entire 5-hour ride back from Minneapolis planning and replanning and replanning and replanning this event. And we appreciate that. And certainly to David Spiker, who, David is my niece Kristen's husband, who did the marvelous job on the Ken Burns loop of pictures that we all sent to him. And thank you to them and to all the others who helped out. Now, as they say, are my prepared remarks. Life is about transformations. You transform from a baby to a toddler to a preschooler, then a student, then a member of the workforce, and so on. One of the most significant transformations for us was on December 21st, 1983, when Marilyn and I were transformed from being a couple to being a family, with the arrival of Grant, Braden, Gardner. And if you have children, you know how that transformation affects your whole being. Grant was an only child until Warren Stewart Gardner came along on April 10th, 1986, and we were transformed into a family of 4. And by the way, no one worked harder bringing kids safely into the world than my lovely wife, Marilyn. We had wonderful years with boys growing up first in Columbus, Ohio, then here in Delafield from 1989 on. Both boys completed all 12 years in the Kettle Moraine school system. And then they went up to the University of Minnesota in the Twin Cities and stayed there after graduation. Grant and Warren lived together all their lives, except for the two years that Grant was in college before Warren. Grant graduated in construction engineering, construction management, and Warren in civil engineering. As you loyal readers of the Gardner Christmas Chronicles are aware, Grant had some health issues while at the U of M, but through it all he persevered and graduated. Our 2008 Gardner Christmas Chronicles contained this verse. We were rousted from our leisure by a call about a seizure on a cold and snowy February night. It was Warren calling Mother with bad news about his brother as the ambulance was pulling out of sight. So after that, Grant took some time off from school, but he went back and completed his education. Post-graduation, he had a number of jobs, some good, some not so good, but always maintained an outstanding work ethic. Then, on September 14th, 2012, I got a phone call from Grant. He said, "Dad, I've got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is I totaled my car. The good news is I'm okay." As it turned out, he wasn't okay. He didn't know at the time that he suffered a traumatic brain injury that would impair his health for the rest of his life. From then on, it was a continual progression of headaches, doctors, medicines, evaluations, and tests. As we all hoped for improvement, we observed increasing symptoms and decreasing activity. He wanted so badly to do so many creative things, but he just was not able. Through it all, Warren was his brother, his roommate, his best friend, his wingman, and his primary caregiver. He checked on Grant, waited on Grant, stayed up with Grant, and worried about Grant 24 hours a day. Grant's world shrank to the point where his family was his world. We loved him, and he loved us with all his heart. Then, early on February 10th of this year, we got a phone call from Warren at his new home that he shared with Grant in Maplewood, Minnesota. The following verses will be in this year's Christmas Chronicles. We found out in early morning without any prior warning, in midwinter February once again. It was Warren calling Mother with bad news about his brother, only this time it was telling of the end. So we drove up in a hurry as our overriding worry was now Warren and how he was going to cope. with the sudden transformation of his living situation, that for Grant, there was no longer any hope. As I said in the invitation, Grant wouldn't have wanted a somber event. He would have wanted a party, hence the balloons, the decorations, and all of you here. As soon as I'm done here, and after you've gotten your share of the pig that's roasting outside, I'd like to ask each and every one of you to contribute to the festive mood by sharing some stories that you might have about Grant in happy times with whomever you're talking with at the time. To help set the mood, I'll share a few from Grant's early years before most of you ever knew him. Grant was always a deep thinker, even as a toddler, and here are a few that I wrote down. When Grant was 3, Marilee signed us up to go to Monkey Junction. It was a play activity for kids and moms, and of course I was the only dad.
Looks like making you do something.
He would often get philosophical and ask curious questions. One was, "Daddy, when they get chickens ready to eat for us, what do they do with their bottoms?" When Grant was 3 and Warren's still in diapers, Warren got a rash suddenly, and Marilee had Warren on the family room floor tearing off his clothes, exclaiming, "Warren is breaking out!" Grant was watching, sensing our heightened concern, and asked, "How we get a new one?" After we explained that breaking out is not the same as breaking up, he says, "That's okay, he won't crack all the way apart." Another was when Grant asked if I liked it, was when I asked Grant how he liked playing with Kelly, a neighbor girl who was a bit older. And he responded, "Yeah, except she does girl stuff. And I hate it when she does that. And she puts her feelings into me, and that's when I get all hitting and wild."
Pledge to all you men.
Welcome to the world, Grant. In the summer of '88, 4-year-old Grant was on a kicker pretending he was Rambo. He'd put on his camo pants and vest, carry his toy gun, and have Warren be his army dog. And Warren would obligingly crawl along with him inside and outside on his hands and feet, making doggy noises. Grant was always protective of his little brother Warren. That fall, as the kids were gathering for trick-or-treat, Derek, who was Kelly's brother, comes up to Warren and threatens, "I'm a pterodactyl. I'm gonna eat you." Grant responds calmly, "You're not a meat eater." Derek was Another time, he asked me, "Dad, do you know how piggies eat?" And I said, "How?" He said, "They smudge food all over their face and lips and cheeks and nose and hair and arms and tummy and legs and feet and knees and chin and eyes." Uncle Mike is one of those. Uncle Mike?
Down here where I belong.
And then there was a time when Grant said to Marilee, "Mommy, your breath smells good." Marilee says, "Thank you, Grant, that's very nice." Grant, "It smells just like raw hot dogs." So, here's my message. If Grant's passing so early in his young life can make any impact on all of you here, it's this. Appreciate and acknowledge what you've got. Go hug your fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers and aunts and uncles and cousins and grandmothers and grandfathers and greats if you've got them. Wear your seatbelts, don't text and drive, don't drink and drive, don't do drugs or anything that negatively impacts your safety. Our recently adopted family phrase whenever we're parting is, "Be safe." Life is fleeting and none of us are going to be around forever. And as I said in the fine print, and you all read the fine print, right? On the invitation from the Gardner Christmas Chronicles in 2013, after Grant and Marilee had had their auto accidents. In a moment, what you love can just be snatched away. And so, enjoy it while you've got it, because you know you'll never know. And I have one more acknowledgement. My sister in Lana and I are two of the lucky few people of our age still fortunate enough to have and enjoy both of our parents. If you get a chance, please congratulate them, Harry and Carolee Gardner, a short month early on their 70th wedding anniversary. One last thing before we go eat. As you might know, I'm forever making up whimsical rhymes. And I'd like y'all to join Mimo and me on this one. When the boys were small, they loved bacon. So we used to sing this as Mom was serving. So you can sing along after the first verse. There's only one verse. You can sing along. We're gonna eat piggy meat. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna eat piggy meat. Mommy and me and you.